with another wonderful fucking episode of your favorite nonpartisan political fucking podcast. Actually, I wouldn't say it's nonpartisan, it's anti-partisan. Like we hate all the parties, so fuck them all. No party.
And this is definitely not the first. This is definitely not the second take.
Or the third take even, maybe. Because I fucking forgot to mute the microphones. I should have just left it in. Like, it literally starts out, Adam saying, fucking idiot. And then the music comes on like...
Yeah, how fucking great.
How great was that? Anyways, my name's Josh. I'm here today with...
Correspondent, good buddy Adam.
Correspondent, fucking idiot, good buddy Adam.
that should be when we start Game Rage News.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they have that description of someone's role or mother
right. Yeah.
or marketing manager. It says, good buddy.
Good buddy.
Correspondent,
fucking idiot. Like... If you say something that like whoever the anchor is disagrees with, then they change it to fucking idiot like at the bottom, like the next time they show you.
Local goon.
That's the way to do it. But anyways, today we're going to talk about, just a couple things going on with this election that we're having here in 2 months now? Yeah, about 2 months-ish. And we'll be probably doing episodes like this every other week, just giving updates on what's happening with, the current nonsense is going on at this moment. And
a pastrami sandwich has been admitted to the presidential election.
Honestly, I would fucking vote for an Ari's pastrami fucking sandwich.
And Vice President Guillotine to cut that sandwich in half.
Cut that sandwich in half. Oh, that would be excellent.
The greatest combo known to man.
Yep.
Deli meats and
guillotines. That's how fucking freedom is won, all right? But anyways, before we get into that, if you want to listen to all of our other stuff, you can go to GameRageMagazine.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag, YouTube Game Rage Magazine. You can also follow Adam if you want to hear awesome things about music at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and you can go listen to the All Gas No Trash podcast. And if you like the animes, and you like the mangas, and you like, other stuff from...
Abridged series.
Oh yeah, abridged series, then you can fucking go listen to the Anime Syndicate podcast, and you can follow good buddy Anime Syndicate host Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast on the Instagram. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about this fucking shit. Because obviously we had the last week or week before, whatever the fuck that was, RFK Jr. went ahead and fucking endorsed Trump. He fucking
took the knee.
He bent the knee to Trump, and he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to undo my campaign or withdraw. I'm just going to not do campaign activities, but I'm going to leave my name on the ballot on every state that is for sure a red state and for sure a blue state. But I'm going to remove my name from the swing states." That was what his whole thing was going to do. So now he's been trying to do that. Well, it turns out that the states are not really letting him do that. So Michigan was the first state that said, "We're not going to fucking let you do that. We're not going to let you remove your name from the ballot." And they voted in favor of their election, like the Michigan Election Commission or whatever the fuck it's called. They basically voted to say that, sorry, you can't do that. And you're just going to fucking have to stay on there. Which is weird because what they're doing is the opposite. And I don't know if this is like some weird fucking 4D chess move that's happening right now, but Michigan did it. Now Wisconsin just did it. And essentially what because the Democrat Party was trying to get him removed from like every state. Like they were trying to just get him fucking done. And basically when he bowed out and when he endorsed Trump, they're trying to keep his name on possible swing states, but the Democrats are still pushing to have him removed from like deep blue states, like have his name removed as an option, like states that they know they're going to win. And what was funny is when he pulled out, he said, "Oh, I'm not going to pull my name off of states that are for sure red and for sure blue, right? I only want him pulled off of the swing states." And I do think, and it's been the consensus generally from most analysts that have deeper knowledge of elections cycles and things like that, that the deep consensus seems to be that if he does stay on a swing state, that he's going to potentially like take votes from Trump, which I don't think I fucking agree with that. I don't think that even makes sense at this point, because if you've got this dude endorsing Trump, why would somebody still vote for him? Like, why would someone still give him a vote if they were on the fence and about whatever, they didn't want either of these two candidates, and now their guy that, let's say they were going to go and vote for RFK Jr. Let's say that was going to be their vote. Now that he's going with Trump, why would you still vote for him? Why wouldn't you vote for the guy that he endorsed? You'd vote for Trump, right? That's generally what happens when a candidate that bows out of the race endorses another candidate. That's the whole point of endorsing somebody else, is to then have your support go to them. So I don't see what the Republican side of wanting him removed or having him make the move, because I don't think that he chose to do that. I don't think his choice was, I don't think it was his idea to pull himself off of swing states. I think that was probably like, I don't know, maybe the Republican Party telling him to do that. And now that they're trying to, like, it seems like they're trying to keep him on in states that are in play to, like I said, seemingly possibly pull votes from Trump. But that strategy doesn't fucking make sense either, because, again, he endorsed Trump. He's on his team now. He's going to seemingly be given a cabinet position. There has been now, because, and so again, I don't know what this strategy, if that's fucking going to be anything. We won't know, obviously, until the first Tuesday in November when the votes actually fucking take place and this actually happens. Like, we're not going to know. Like, we're going to have no fucking idea of whether or not Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is actually going to get any fucking votes. I mean, he might. I mean, listen, I wouldn't say it's impossible that he would get some votes. I think it's very plausible that he could get some votes if he was still actively pursuing the presidency. I'd say it's very possible he could get a small percentage of the overall total votes, right? Maybe not enough to get electoral votes out of it, but I mean, he might get some percentage, maybe 2-3% of the vote. I don't know. But now it's almost like, I don't think it fucking matters. Even if he was to pull 2 or 3% right now, I don't think it would fucking make a difference in whatever the outcome is going to potentially be. I think that the outcome is going to be a landslide one way or the other. I can't necessarily say in my full belief of which side is going to be the one that wins the landslide, but whoever wins, I feel like it's going to be a fucking landslide. So I don't think the 2 or 3% that RFK Jr. would have taken is even going to make a difference. So I don't get the play on either side of trying to either pull him off or keep him on. Like, that does not make any fucking sense to me. But I will say that there has now also been rumor going around that Trump isn't really happy with the way that Vance has been performing, and that he was kind of already skeptical of fucking putting him on anyways. And the only reason that they really added him was because of the fact that they needed a younger, like, candidate, because they were bitching. What?
I'm sure they want somebody to have some type of relation to Ohio, so that, because that's a swing state.
Right. Well, exactly. It was that, and they wanted to find somebody that was younger, because all of the complaints from everybody this whole election cycle is now we have it was the two oldest candidates going against each other, and they beat the record, which was them previously 4 years of being the oldest candidates. So that was a complaint. Now, I will say that the Democrat move of pulling Biden off is a good move. That was a smart move. I don't think that, I feel like the Republican side is banking too much on the cult of Trump to push them through into the White House basically again. because now anybody who was kind of in the middle that was already pissed off that there are two old fuckers as the candidates, well, there is a side offering you a not old, completely old. I mean, Kamala's only what, in her 50s? Like, she ain't 80 though, like Trump and fucking Biden. So, you know, I mean, that's, if you were pulled out because of that, well, shit, now you maybe got a reason to go vote for the blue side because, well, I'd rather not vote for an octogenarian and have, because and that's what I think is really going to hurt the whole Trump campaign is the fact that it doesn't really matter if he's out here being salient and being fucking coherent or whatever, because Biden was salient and coherent when he was elected. It took a couple years for him to then become this incoherent, babbling, fucking elderly, you know, 80 fucking however year old he is guy.
Yeah, it's like Reagan in his last years when they were just hiding him and putting him in the closet.
Yeah, basically. So, which is kind of what they've done to Biden. But I think that people are like, shit, we realize that this was a mistake putting in an old guy, even though he was just to get Trump out and everybody wanted to make sure that Trump was no longer in. I think that people even on the right are realizing, well, shit, I don't think Trump's going to be the guy. He's going to be in his 80s soon. I think he's either turning 80. I think he's 79. So, I mean, I just got to look that up because I want to be sure about how old he fucking is. But Trump age. He's 78 right now. He was born in June. So he just had his 78th birthday. But I mean, 2 years in, he's going to be 80. So to the presidency, right? If he wins. So I think people are going, I don't know if we want to repeat this whole Biden thing. So I think it's going to hurt them. And I don't think it's going to help. But anyways, the rumor mill is that obviously Trump is not happy with Vance.
Couch fucker.
Yeah, he is a couch fucker. And what's funny is I've seen the book, the original book from, because I think they changed it in 2015 or 16 was when they changed it and they removed that portion out of the book, that Hillbilly Elegy book that he wrote. They removed it and you can find copies of it that are still out there that are pre 2014 or whenever they changed it. And yeah, it's in there. And it is fucking insane that we're even allowing this guy to be considered as a candidate when he outright lied to us all and said, oh, I never said that. I never said I fucked couches. Because they've asked him point blank, oh, that never happened. The campaign denies it incessantly. Oh, he doesn't fuck couches. It's in writing, bro. Your name's on the book. You fuck just because you changed it and thought you scrubbed all the copies like they scrubbed all the Sinbad in Shazam movies off of the internet. You didn't do a good enough job because we can all still see it here.
And E.T. the video game.
Right, exactly. I mean, they burned all those copies, and I think they're in a fucking ditch or a fucking landfill somewhere. They just dumped them. But you didn't do a good enough job scrubbing it from the internet, so here it is. Now you can still get it. And it proves that you're a lying sack of shit. So, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You should not be the vice president of the United States, especially when an elderly person is going to be the president and your lying ass could become president at any fucking given moment.
So what was the point you were getting at?
What I was getting at was that I fuck JD Vance, but Trump has been claimed to be unhappy with him. And now that this endorsement came from RFK Jr., there's rumor that
it's too late though.
Well, they're saying that they can do it. They're saying that there is some loophole that will allow them to.
They already printed the ballots. They're already printing the ballots.
There's some fucking loophole. They're saying that they could pull a fucking switcheroo, and if I don't know what the legalities are if it were to be attempted where they were going to switch the thing, and then they said, hey, you know what? We got to go reprint all these ballots and shit, like. Because I was reading something that says that there's some fucking loophole that they can get into.
Is that something that can be disputed?
Yeah, that's what it would be. It would have to go to through courts to be said, okay, actually it says you can't do it. But if you challenge it, then you got to wait for it to go through the court system, obviously. And fuck, who knows how long that could take. And it could potentially maybe delay the election. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, I do think that it is funny that JD Vance is like the rumors are that Trump is not he ain't happy with him. And there was a campaign event that Trump did. I forget where it was at, but I think it was last week. And he walks up and he's standing there was a guy that was out there who was, I think he was like the police officers association guy for whatever state that was in. And he was giving this speech about how Trump loves and he backs the blue. And Trump literally walks out. Like they kept telling him like, hey man, get off the stage. Like Trump is fucking like, he's waiting. And he just was like trying to wrap it up. And literally Trump walks out there and he's literally standing behind the guy. And he's just like staring at him. And he looks and he tells him like, wrap it up. Like he puts his hand on him and the guy's like, oh fuck, like he doesn't know what to do. And so then he just wraps it up and then he leaves and then Trump's like, oh yeah, it's very good. There's great police. We love our police. And I'm like, man, you just kicked this fucking guy off of the stage and now you're gonna fuck. Like that is so fucked up, man. Like, and everybody on the internet's like, oh, look at Trump. He's such a badass and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, that's not just being a badass. That's just being a fucking asshole. Like you're just being a hypocrite. You can't fucking invite this guy to speak at your campaign event, boot him off before his time is up, and then fucking tell him to hurry the fuck up. And then, oh yes, we love them. They're so great. They're so great. And I get the fuck out of here, man. Like that pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah. Were you going to mention Special Counsel Jack Smith applying his was it the appeals ruling for the classified documents?
No, but bring that up. Go ahead. Tell me about that.
I don't do nearly as good a job of you of recapping shit, but that's something that was.
Who was it again? Say that again. This is what?
Jack Smith.
Jack Smith. Okay, good. The new indictment against Donald Trump. That was from 2 days ago. How did I miss this? Fuck. I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Basically, it looks like he filed what they're calling a retooled indictment that will comport with that will evade essentially the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. So,
he was acting. I think I don't know if it's noted or summarized there, but he was acting as like a private citizen.
Yeah, so basically what it did is they didn't remove any of the charges against him. They kept all the counts still on there. But they pulled the indictment down. They dropped it 9 pages. So it was 45, now it's only 36. And basically, the biggest difference is what it seems is that they removed the whole section about Trump trying to weaponize the Justice Department to help his reelection campaign, because that's an official act as president. So, I mean, theoretically, with that Supreme Court ruling, you could then weaponize your thing to essentially punish all your political, or to imprison all your political rivals.
Yeah.
Which is what we had talked about before, is that is a very fucking dangerous. I mean, I don't think the president should be above the law. I think that they should actually be more scrutinized in terms of their decisions, because they are making decisions that could potentially affect every single fucking American. And us having voted for them, they should be held fucking accountable. I don't think they should receive any sort of immunity. Because, you know, if you go and commit a bunch of fucking crimes as president using your official powers, you should fucking burn for that. It should be just death penalty. No jail time, death penalty immediately, right?
Yeah. I think this is people's opinion, but maybe it has some substance to it. But judging by the fact that Miss Cannon, the Supreme Court judge, made this decision, a lot of people are believing that she should just be removed from the Supreme Court itself for her partial behavior towards this case.
Yeah, but that's the fucked up part, is this you can't get rid of them unless they do something like against the law or immoral. If them deciding,
yeah, you could say it's an illegitimate Supreme Court.
You could, but then again, who's going to do that though?
Well, it's unprecedented. Unprecedented times. We've already seen the worst, and sometimes even the best, of what could happen within our own government. So it's like, maybe this is one of those extenuating circumstances where we find out what it's like to do that, because that's what it's there for. If we have an illegitimate Supreme Court that can't make decisions based on evidence and based on precedent and all this shit, maybe it's worth considering what we could do with their removal.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think we should not have lifetime appointments for fucking Supreme Court.
It should be at least, I don't know, like 10 years?
Yeah, something. There should be a limit. I don't know what the limit is or what the right answer is, but I mean, there should be some sort of limit on how long you can be a Supreme Court justice. And I don't think that the president should get to appoint them. I think that they should be elected. I think that we should vote for them. But we vote for every other judge in office. Federal judges, I don't think federal judges are appointed, but our local county judges, we vote for them. So why the fuck wouldn't we vote for the highest judges in the land?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Basically,
does this include the? So what was the previous thing? The thing that you were mentioning?
You talking about the weaponizing the Justice Department?
Yeah, and what were the other components of the actual?
Well, the rest of them are essentially the same, and the components are that he insinuated or it started the whole January 6th takeover. That he
that's right, yeah.
That he basically it was involved in that somehow.
Right.
And so they're all still the prosecutors are very confident that this will now be able to go through and not get thrown out.
Yeah, shit, man.
It'll at least go to trial.
This is the U.S. government versus Trump, right?
Yeah, basically.
And what's the win percentage of cases won by the U.S. government versus an individual? Is it 90% and above?
That's a good idea. I mean, it probably is pretty fucking high. Let me see. Let's just do special counsel win rating. Let's see. Special counsel.
Or U.S. government. U.S. government versus.
U.S.
versus individuals or win percentage
versus individuals. No, U.S. government lawsuit win percentage. There we go. Criminal. Let's just do criminal because this is a criminal case. It's not like a lawsuit.
Yeah,
it's like criminal charges.
Yeah.
Criminal case win percentage. Okay, the U.S. government has a high conviction rate for federal criminal cases.
What's the percentage?
This is the AI giving me this answer. So,
great.
Let's see. It says the acquittal rate. In 2022, the acquittal rate was 0.4%.
Oh, shit.
Went to trial and were acquitted.
Okay.
Guilty.
99.9%.
Well, no, okay, hold on. This is where it gets fucky. Okay, guilty rating was 1.9% of the defendants who went to trial, they were found guilty. But other outcomes is 89.5% of defendants pleaded guilty.
Oh,
so they just pleaded guilty. So then we had a case dismissal rating of 8.2%. So we know that this is going to be one that he's not going to plead guilty. He already pleaded not guilty the first time. So he's going to plead not guilty again here the second time going around.
So it could lead to acquittal or possible dismissal or...
So when you look at the odds, dismissal is the highest fucking likelihood when you go to trial. However, being found not guilty is basically impossible. It's 0.4%.
It ain't happening.
There's no fucking way.
Or they have so much on him that he basically pleads guilty because maybe that'll come in at some point where they're like, oh shit, we got the smoking gun.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too. On average, only 2% of criminal defendants go to trial in federal cases. Most of them just plead guilty.
Yeah.
So,
because they probably tell them you're going away for life,
or you can take a deal,
or you could take a 30. You're gonna possibly have the chance of getting out maybe in 15 years.
Yeah. So 1,300. So there was 71,000, or basically 72,000 in 2022. There were 72,000 cases. Federal criminal cases, and only 290 of them went to trial and were acquitted. Okay, that's fucking crazy.
Yep.
1,300 went to trial and were found guilty. So 1,300 versus 200, or 1,379 versus 290. That is a fucking very large disparity of cases that go to trial. How many of them fucking actually, get off or go whatever? So it says 9 in 10, basically 90% plead guilty. And then 8% of them have them dismissed at some point during the process. So it's like it doesn't go to trial. And that's crazy. So,
well, we'll see where that fucking goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. And then that's the other thing is if Trump is convicted, and that's the other thing that they've already said that if Trump gets convicted of one of these crimes, he's not ineligible to become president. Like, there's nothing that actually says that you can't be a quote unquote convicted felon and be president. So there's nothing that. So I imagine that this case would not likely even go to trial or even continue if Trump was elected president. Because what do? I just fucking pardon myself. Because there's nothing that says you can't pardon yourself. Nixon didn't pardon himself. He resigned and he had
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, give him a pardon. So that's like the acceptable way you're supposed to do it. But that was 60 fucking years ago, basically, when there was some honor amongst thieves, I guess, as you could say.
You could barely call it that. But
right, but that was at least, hey, you know what?
I knew I did wrong.
Right, I know I fucked up, and instead of me just becoming dictator of America, I'm gonna fucking just bow out and let this guy's gonna make sure I don't do any time, and he'll become president. Cool, but like Trump ain't gonna do that. He'll just pardon himself and stay on board, and then that's gonna be like, oh, now we get into, and then he's got presidential immunity. Now we get into Hitler times, or dictator times, or whatever you want to call it. So. Yeah, that's just not. This doesn't bode well. Either way, I'm curious to see what's going to happen, obviously, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see when come November.
Yeah, it's a frog in boiling water.
Yeah, like we've talked about before. It's like if you throw a frog in the boiling water, he'll jump right out. But if you put him in cold water and slowly turn up the heat, he'll stay in there till he dies. So, fuck, that's how I feel where we're at right now with this shit. But anyways, fuck, you got anything else?
No.
We're already at 30 minutes basically, so.
No, this is a pretty good place to end, I think.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Plenty of things addressed and accounted for the week as far as political news in the U.S. goes.
Indeed. So anyways, all right, well, that'll do it for us. So if you want to listen to more, you can go to GameRageMagazine.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag, YouTube, Game Rage Magazine. You can also go to All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram and go listen to All Gas No Trash Podcast. You can also listen to the Anime Syndicate Podcast. And you can follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast. That's it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one.